Hey, Tatooine Sons family, this is David here. Quick intro to this really special episode of Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. This one's all about the kids. There is not a single adult involved in this entire conversation, which is what honestly makes it a lot of fun. This is a special interview that BB Nate did with the cast of the new Star Wars animated series, specifically for preschoolers, that releases today on Star Wars Day. So I'll stop and say, may the 4th be with you if you're listening to this at release. BB Nate is interviewing some amazing people. He's got Jamaal Avery Jr., who plays Jedi Kai, Juliet Donenfeld, who plays Jedi Lys, Emma Berman, who plays the pilot Nash Durango, and Trey Murphy, the bad guy, the villain Taborr from Young Jedi Adventures. They have a great time talking about Star Wars, how they got introduced in it, what their favorite characters are, who's the coolest looking villain. There's even an amazing hypothetical race between Nash Durango, Han Solo, Poe Dameron, and Rey that you're just not ready for the answer to. So it takes a few minutes to celebrate Star Wars. Make sure you check out the next episode that's coming sometime, hopefully today as well, where I get to interview the producers and the writers of this series, and we have a very different perspective from it, but it's a lot of fun as well. And then tune in to our social medias later today, as we've got a special announcement. If you don't know what that is and you're listening to this on May the 5th, Revenge of the 5th, go back and check it out. It's something very exciting. Thank you so much. And here they go.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the Porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that Porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody was lit.
Before we get into the show and everything, let's ask a couple questions about yourselves. So were either of y'all into Star Wars before being given your role in Young Jedi Adventures?
Yes. My dad saw the 4, 5, and 6 when he was a kid in theaters. Oh, so wow. He's been like a lifelong fan. The first one he took me to in theaters was The Phantom Menace. Of course, like a re-release of it, not when it originally came out. But me and him are like best buds. So we're just huge fans of Star Wars. So when I got this role, he was over the moon excited because he's been watching since he was a kid. So that, I mean, I've been into Star Wars my whole life. So
wow.
I had an interesting story. So I used to sneak and watch some shows, like action hero shows, when it was like way past my bedtime. And like, you know how kids are when they go to sleep. Mm-hmm. And so I watched Star Wars and I like got super scared. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified. And then my friend asked me if I wanted to go to movie theaters to watch. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And he's like, all right, watch Star Wars. And I was like crying in my seat. And then when I got older, I was like, I'm gonna watch it again. And I actually like enjoyed it more now because I realized like it's not as scary as it was when I was younger. And now I'm like, if you guys put me in a room with that character, I could take him.
That is a great way to look at it now, for sure.
I always heard about it, like all my friends were fans, and I have 2 older siblings who are 10 years older than me. They always watched it with my parents, but I never actually watched the movies. When I got the audition, I watched some shorts and stuff, some YouTube shorts and some clips about it. So I got the normal gist of it, and I knew sort of about it because all my friends are fans, and it's such a huge thing that's always talked about. And when I actually booked it, it's funny because I'm in an elective in my school called film criticism. So we always watch movies. And just coincidentally, when I booked it, we were watching all the Star Wars movies, and
wow.
I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to, which is really cool. So yeah.
Pretty much similar to Juliet. I have a big brother, and he was always a big fan of Star Wars. And so I grew up with it, always playing around the household. And obviously everybody's heard of Star Wars, but I never really got super into it until I booked the part. And then I was like, okay, I'm binging everything now. I have to. And so now I'm a super big fan.
Well, it's a great series for sure. And so, there's a lot to Star Wars. There's the main movies, and then you have the TV series, obviously, as y'all have starred in yourselves. So kind of, what's your favorite piece of Star Wars? Favorite movie or TV show?
Let me think. My favorite, I like Revenge of the Sith a lot.
Great choice. Great choice.
That's my favorite movie.
All right. I know a ton of people love Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think personally, and I love Empire Strikes Back too, but personally my favorite is Return of the Jedi. I love the Ewoks. It's awesome. That's definitely my favorite.
That was my favorite for a long time too. It's a great movie.
That's a hard one. I like all of them. I kind of like how all the stories kind of led to another and all the events led to one another. And I definitely want to go back and rewatch them in order because my teacher played them from when they came out. So I want to go back and rewatch them like all in order. But yeah.
Jamaal, let's give you some questions. So you do play Kai Brightstar in the Young Jedi Adventures, a Jedi youngling who hopes to follow in the footsteps of the amazing Jedi Master Yoda and become a Jedi Knight. So that would put him in the category of some amazing Star Wars characters like Qui-Gon Jinn and Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi and, of course, the amazing Luke Skywalker. So which Jedi do you think Kai is most like and why?
I think Kai's most like a mixture of all the characters, I guess you could say. Like, he's wise and he's not rebellious, but he sometimes goes his own way, like Qui-Gon Jinn was sometimes. And he's really optimistic and wants to learn more about being a Jedi, like Luke Skywalker and his saga. And yeah,
of course. I see all of that. He does have a bit of every single of the big Jedi in him since he's kind of learning from all of them too. So, since he's such an important Jedi, but he's from the High Republic, which is a bit of a different timeline. We haven't really seen much before. This is a time without Sith. So, what do you think he's trying to learn most from his time of being a Jedi?
I think, the High Republic where like all the Jedi were more united, I guess you could say. And so he's probably learning more unity and how to work with other Jedi like him and other Jedi not like him. And sometimes he may struggle, but at the end of the day, he'll get over it and he'll try to work with them no matter what. And when that happens, he makes more friends than what he had the day before.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's definitely a different time to look at the Jedi than we see in the main Skywalker saga from all those points. But it's an interesting time because antagonists come in a different form, like your character Taborr, Trey. He comes in a pirate form instead of being a normal Sith, is what we would see in a Jedi story. He wears an awesome helmet and costume, and he looks one of like those iconic villains like Kylo Ren and Darth Maul and Boba Fett, and of course the Dark Lord himself, Darth Vader. So, in your opinion, I'm not going to hold you to anything. Who do you think the coolest looking villain in Star Wars is, and why?
That's a tough one. I mean, all of them are cool in their own way. I would definitely say Darth Vader is definitely probably the coolest, just because of his breathing alone. Is so cool. Yeah. But if I had to pick someone besides Darth Vader, because that's the classic answer, Darth Maul is really cool. He was the first one to have, or at least first one I saw to have that kind of lightsaber, that kind of double-sided, and spikes, and he's red, and he's just awesome. So probably a tie between those two for me.
Definitely. Darth Maul is awesome, and he just gets cooler on later in the saga, in the Clone Wars and Rebels. He's just an awesome character.
Awesome.
And Darth Vader, has that iconic look. He's one of the greatest cinema villains of all time. And so, Emma, you play Nash Durango, a pilot who is friends with Kai and the other younglings. And so how does it feel playing the best Outer Rim pilot in the High Republic era?
It's insane to be part of the Star Wars pilots group, like Han Solo and Rey and Poe Dameron. It's just like, it's absolutely insane and unreal. I'm so deeply honored.
Yeah, as you were saying, it does put Nash now in the same conversation as pilots like Han Solo and Rey and Poe Dameron. So here's a little bit of a hypothetical scenario I want you to kind of predict the results of. So say Han, Rey, Poe, and Nash are racing against each other in the famous space race, the Gauntlet. So when the race is over, who do you think will win? Which one of them will be disqualified, and which one will probably crash and burn?
Okay, so in this hypothetical race, since I can make up my own rules,
exactly,
I'm going to say Nash and Rey teamed up. And since they both kind of have engineering backgrounds, they're super good at building things. I think that makes them super good pilots. And so I think they team up and they win. Okay. And then I feel like Han Solo, he's a very, very good pilot. And I think he takes a lot of risks and makes a lot of choices that can sometimes be risky. So I'm going to say in my race, he crashed and burned.
Okay. And wow. That's going to be controversial for sure.
And then Poe Dameron, just because we won. So he was just disqualified.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's for sure. You know, that all makes a lot of sense. I would see that happening for sure. Now, Juliet, you play Lys Solé, a Praetorian Jedi youngling. Now, Liz has a very special connection to creatures like only a few Jedi we've seen before, such as Rey and my personal favorite Jedi, Ezra Bridger. So why is this ability so important for the character of Liz and her story?
I think it's really important that she loves creatures so much because in a lot of the episodes, they're going to be facing a lot of creatures that can be sort of scary. And I feel like everybody would just freak out and run away, but Lys actually educates them and is like, oh, it's not that scary. And so you actually get a feel and not just look at them and, oh, they look scary and then run away. And I feel like that's really important because there's going to be a lot of kids watching it that are creature lovers that will also not want everybody to run away from them and will also want to be educated on these creatures from to new.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when I started getting into Star Wars, Ezra Bridger was a huge deal for me, and he talks with all of these creatures, and he does calm everybody else down when it comes to these very frightening animals like wolves and some loth cats and all that stuff. Yeah. So it's an awesome deal. So this is a question for both of you. Why do you think that it's important for Star Wars to tell stories like Young Jedi Adventures that are more geared towards younger audiences?
I think that a lot of the Star Wars movies and shows in general, there's nothing like this show because everything is definitely geared towards older kids. And so I think this is such an incredible new thing that kids are going to be introduced to Star Wars and create this new generation of fans because that's never been done before. And I think that's absolutely incredible.
I think it's more important because, well, see, most Star Wars films and stuff, it's like jumps right into everything, action. It's awesome in its own right, and so it jumps into everything. But Star Wars Young Jedi aims mainly at kids to ease them into Star Wars, I guess. And I always thought like they aimed it in the High Republic, so it can be easier to help them get into Star Wars, ease them into everything that they'll see later on, past movies, series, and more to come and stuff like that.
I mean, I completely agree with Jamaal. It's really just introducing, the lightsabers, Yoda, of course, and sort of getting them started. But I think something else that needs to be mentioned is the lessons for the show, teaching younger audiences great lessons like teamwork and the value of friendships and relationships with one another. And of course, perseverance, never giving up, trial and error. I think that's just very important for younger audiences to see.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I mean, when I was a kid around where the demographic is for the show. I didn't like Star Wars. I thought it was boring. I didn't understand it and all this stuff. So if I had this when I was a kid, I probably would have liked it a lot more because I would have been able to get into it a little bit easier.
Also, like Emma, I feel like it's really cool because if there's older siblings enjoying Star Wars, there's going to be kids that want to watch Star Wars too, but they probably wouldn't understand it as well. So it's really cool that they made this so that kids like younger in preschool and kindergarten and young people can watch this, so then they're more prepared for when they get older and actually want to watch Star Wars. So yeah, it introduces a new generation of kids.
Does. I was noticing as I was watching it, Yoda talks in regular sentences a lot more. And I was thinking, why is that the case? But honestly, when I was, 5 or 6, I probably wouldn't understand the mashed up sentences and it being all cut up. So now all of y'all have played in this show for at least one season so far, and the shorts that came out, which were fantastic. And so I'm wondering, is there a favorite kind of attribute of your character that you have? A favorite moment, I guess, would be able to be said.
That's a great question. If I'm going to state it in just one word, just one simple plain word, complexity. I really love the complexity of my character. Yeah, I mean, and of course he's cool, but
of course,
the complexity.
Something I like about my character, he's very optimistic and he goes into every situation with the best mindset and the best step forward. And so he's like, you say he's going in to fight Taborr. He's going to try to change his mind or anything. And I also like that he's how strong of a character he is and how dependent but independent he is on others. And like he learns that he doesn't always have to do everything by himself.
Well, one super fun moment that I really loved in this series is when Nash meets Yoda, because she doesn't know who Yoda is because she's not a Jedi herself. And I think that was just the funniest thing ever to see and record when the season comes out. But I thought it was so funny because Yoda is such loved character, and Nash didn't know who he was.
Yeah, that was awesome for sure.
In one of the episodes, it was sort of like a Scooby-Doo episode, and it was kind of mysterious and really scary. Everybody was freaking out, but then Liz sort of stuck in her own body and was like, I'm going to think about this. And she kind of took all the puzzle pieces and sort of was like, oh, I'm going to figure this out. So when everybody was freaking out, she sort of solved the mystery, and that's how they all got out of the problem, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, no, it's been an awesome series from what I've seen. And you guys are actually in a new era of Star Wars. We haven't seen much about. The High Republic is really only a book publishing universe right now. And you guys are actually the first people to make the jump into television, at least from the books. And we've recently had some other things kind of start popping up outside of the books. But you guys are the mainstream beginning of the High Republic era. So how do you feel about being the start of the High Republic outside of the books? Because honestly, there's so much to it and on the book side that it's really difficult to get into for a lot of people.
I think that's just such a big honor, especially being part of Star Wars. Just in general, that's just the coolest thing ever. And then also being part of this whole new thing, that's so cool, and I'm just forever grateful for this. And I definitely think I'm gonna buy all the High Republic books so I can read them this summer.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see how the High Republic has grown from being just a potential experimental book series to now being a show for kids and being in other shows, and the Acolyte, which is coming out pretty soon here too. It's been awesome to see how this is all going to work out. Now, one more question real quick. Do y'all believe that these characters will ever make a jump to bigger things in the Star Wars universe, at least in the High Republic era?
That would be cool. I mean, I don't know of anything yet, but obviously getting another chance to work with Star Wars, or even just seeing the characters go on even more adventures and do even more cool things, that would be insanely cool.
Yeah, I feel like it would be so cool to see more adventures they go on, because there's been so many adventures, and I feel like it was just so fun to record all those. So I feel like it'd be really cool to see them branch out even more and them mature from all the adventures they've seen and seeing if they've grown and learned anything and to see if they benefited from any of those adventures.
May the Force be with you, always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Joy, please.
Yep.